Hello everyone. So in this video we'll see how to make a weather station using Raspberry Pi Pico W. So we'll use a Raspberry Pi Pico W, a DHT11 temperature and humidity sensor, and a I2C 16x2 LCD. So not only we'll read the temperature and display it on the LCD, but we will also see how we can log that temperature and humidity to Google Sheets, and how to plot a graph from the sensor data received from this DHT11 sensor. So first thing you need to do is you need to press this boot cell button and connect the power cable. Once you do that, it will show you a new drive in your computer. So the next thing you have to do is go into the boards, select this Raspberry Pico, and you have to select the one with that scratch block extension, not the MicroPython extension. So select this, then click upload firmware and download this firmware onto your drive. Now just copy this picoblocks.uf2 file, go to that Raspberry Pi drive. So this drive will appear once you press this button, and you have to keep it pressed and then connect the power cable and then release this button. So once you do that, this new drive will appear. In this new drive you have to copy this downloaded firmware. So just copy this firmware, go inside this Raspberry Pi drive and paste it. So once you do that, that D drive will disappear, and your Raspberry Pico will reboot. Now you can click this add extension. So the Pico extension appears in the toolbox. So now just click this button and a Pico WBLE will appear. If it doesn't appear, just try to pair that Pico W Bluetooth in your Bluetooth setting. For me it appears, so I'll just click pair, and again I have to wait for few seconds, and then I'll click connect and it is connected. So I'll just go to editor. Now to log data to Google Worksheet, I have to select Google Sheets, and I also want to plot graph. So I'll select that graph extension also, graph and chart. So I have this Arduino extension, Pico extension, Google Sheet, and this charts. So first thing I have to go and click this flag, and then let me create few variables. So first is SDA pin, then SCL pin, then DHT11 pin. Then I have to create a variable to hold the temperature, and I have to create a variable to hold the humidity. Now I'll just start adding. So I'll go into the Pico And as mentioned, like the LCD need to be connected to pin 4 and 5. So this is the default I2C pin for the Arduino extension. So for MicroPython, I think the default is 8 and 9 or something. But for Arduino, it uses like pin 4 and 5. So you have to connect your SDA and HCL to like pin 4 and 5. And this is the DHT11 sensor. So I'm I have connected to pin 8. So I'll use here SDA, HCL and DHT11, and this is pin 5, pin 4, pin 8. Now I have created a Google sheet and like added like temperature and humidity on the first line, and I had actually shared it publicly so that anyone with the link can actually edit it. So this link also I would require. So this is the Google Sheet ID. So this ID is basically what we would require. And this is like sheet 0, first sheet. So that also we would require to set it. Now I have to initialize the hardware. So let me create like two functions, like one is like init variables, the other is like initialize hardware, init hardware. So all the variables I initialize it in the init variables, and the initialize hardware, like I have to add that sensors also. So I'll add this Arduino sensors and this DHT11 I'll use it, and the variables I'll use that DHT11 pin. Go to sensors and then begin. Similarly, I have to add the display also. So this is the LCD init. For me, the LCD default address is 27 only, so that's okay for me. And then I have to turn on the backlight and I'll just clear it. So this actually initialize our hardware, and like I'll set the cursor also to the initial position. Now in a forever loop I have to read the temperature, so I'll use that forever loop, and like I'll wait for 10 seconds like before taking another reading. And in the variables I'll set that temperature and humidity. And I select that as false. This is like whether you want to convert it to Fahrenheit. For me, Celsius works fine. And I'll hide all these variables, like I don't need these variables. Maybe I'll just show this two only. So now we are getting the temperature and humidity. So first thing I have to do is like display it on the LCD also. So let me just create another function like show weather data on LCD. And like after reading, I'll call this function to display it on the LCD. So maybe I don't need uh, this function. I'll move it to here, go to display, and like every time I have to clear it, then I'll just print like temp and space, print the temperature, then I'll print the degree symbol, and then I'll print just C. So like temperature is the reading and the degree symbol and the centigrade symbol. Then I'll switch to the next line. So next row, then I'll print like humidity and print that humidity, and then I'll maybe print just percentage. So every time it will clear the LCD, set the cursor to initial position, print the temperature and humidity, and it will display the various strings and like different symbols. So right now like our program should be working and it should display the temperature and humidity on the LCD screen. But I want to log it to the Google Sheet also. So for that I'll use this, and I have to log like two values, so I'll use this. So the first value is temperature, so the variables temperature, and then second is humidity. And then I have to create a row index also in the Google Sheet, like where to display. Like this is the second row, this is the third row, like that. So the column is like 0 and this can be 1. And let me create another variable like row, and in the forever loop, like every time I'll update the Google Sheet, I'll increase the row also. And in my initialize variable, I have to set the row as 0. So now it should log the temperature and humidity in the Google Sheet also. So let me just run this program and see. Okay, we have some issues here. Let me stop it. So I'd like fix that header, and like we have to set the row as 1, so that this is the 0th index, this is the first index, this is the second index. So it should start updating from here. Let's just run it again and see. So it is updating it here, and like after every 10 second it will update it again. So let me stop the program and let me go and delete this values. So at this point, like it would start displaying the temperature and humidity on the LCD screen. So because this is like a 5 volt LCD which I have connected to like 3.3 volt, so the screen is like little faint, but you can replace it with a 3.3 volt LCD, or you can use like some level shifter for I2C signals. And this is the DHT11 temperature sensor which is connected to pin 8. So this is displaying temperature and humidity on the LCD screen. Now our program to display the temperature and humidity in Google Sheets and on the I2C LCD is working fine. Let me hide this row variable also, it's not needed. Let me hide all these variables. So this function is working fine to display the weather data on LCD. The init hardware is also working fine, and the init variable is also working fine. So remember, like your Google Sheet need to be like publicly shareable and editable. So don't use this ID because anyway this worksheet I'll delete it. Now we have to plot that graphs also. So I'll go into that charts and set the title as like weather data. Then I'll add the legend, and that would be like, let me just plot the temperature data. And I'll plot a line from the data point. So I have to add the data points also. So I'll add the temperature, and the data point need to change every time. So I'll use the join operator. I'll use the first one as T, and then I'll use this as row itself. So row would change every time. So to plot the data dynamically, like because we are adding it every time, I have to like add the legend also, and the previous data point would anyway persist, and then I'm simply plotting the graph. So let's just run it again and see. So it has already started plotting the data. Every 10 seconds it would take the reading and like plot the data. And the Google Sheet is also updated. Let me just blow air into that temperature sensor to see if the temperature changes. So you can see like the temperature is changing, and this is plotting the graph also. So like I had like very less delay, but what you can do is like you can take the readings and take average, and then just update that average every hour, and then plot that data, and you can read that data from Google Sheet and like can draw graph from that saved data. So you can do the logging of the temperature, and like you can create chart from that already logged data, or you can like extend it to any level. Like for example, if the temperature reaches a particular limit, like for example there is a fire, so it would like turn on a fire alarm. Or let's say you send it from WhatsApp, like message temperature, and like it would check the temperature and send you back that data on WhatsApp. So like we already have a WhatsApp extension, so that you can use. Or you can even control like real hardware like AC. So if the temperature goes below particular level, you can use like home automation to base thing to like control the AC and all those things. Or like even if you don't want to go into that much level of complexity, you can create simple example. Like you can create a simple cardboard model of like home, and like put some motor fan, And like when the temperature increases, like it's very hot, like the fan would automatically turn on. So you can do like all those kind of project in code school. Like, so the goal here is not like to overly complicate this example. This is just like a basic learning example of like uh, how you can use code school to make like various project, how you can use like Pico W and the temperature sensor and various extensions to create like powerful examples. So I hope you like this video. Please do share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.